the top unrestricted free agents that were Carolina Panthers this past season that we need to see back. I'm going to start us off by saying Brady Christensen. I think that Brady Christensen is a dog. I think that anytime you have a guy that you can literally plug into any position and there's no real drop-off and there's success, I think he adds a significant amount of value. Brady Christensen, we saw multiple times this season as well as last that he has what it takes to be a starting NFL offensive lineman, period. Like, there's no specific position box that you have to try and put him in. There's none of that. Brady Christensen is just a phenomenal offensive lineman that I believe you can put in any position. Give me Brady Christensen as number one. Mike Jackson is number two for me. We just talked about Mike Jackson and how, he supported J.C. Horn. Can we get better in that cornerback room? Absolutely. Do I believe we need to get better in that cornerback room? Absolutely. But Mike Jackson, what he gave us this season, coming literally at the start of the season, week one, with no real preparation, something to write home about, in my opinion. And the fact that he comes down and slides on shit is something else that, excites me, the PG version. Yeah, I think Mike Jackson is number two. This is just my list, and I'm going to give y'all...
How many are we doing?
3. Oh, I said I put 4. I only have 3.
Okay.
But if y'all want to do 4, do 4. I don't care. My last one, Tommy Tremble. Yeah, we'll do 4. Do you have 4?
Well, I would have the same list that you just put out. My 4th would be J.J. Jensen. So that's like,
all right.
So, yeah, but that's
shout out to J.J. Jensen and his folks, because we, friend of the show.
But that's only because that's what the list is. Like, there's nobody else that is a free agent that I'm like, I have to have that guy back. I mean,
Mike Boone.
You could make the case for Mike Boone, and you could make the case for Johnny Hecker outside of last season, but
that's about it.
It's very everybody else. Appreciate your services. Goodbye.
I figured it would be very similar. Do you have any differences, really?
No, I'm just going to stop at 3 because I don't want to start reaching.
So Mike Boone is a reach?
To me.
Okay.
I just don't want to, yeah.
So let's just do a group top 3 free agents that we need to see back.
Yeah.
Mike.
Brady.
Jackson, to be specific. Brady Christensen and Tommy Tremble.
Yep.
Those are the 3 that you have to bring back. Now, the caveat with Brady Christensen is the fact that he is unrestricted, I believe. Yes, Brady Christensen is unrestricted. So Brady Christensen can go out and test the market, and unfortunately, I just don't know if I'm personally willing to spend starting O-line money on somebody that potentially may not be a starter. However, if your plan is to allow Austin Corbett to walk, which I believe it should be, then you go get Brady and you pay him starting center money. That's just my assessment. But it gets very, very sticky with that situation, because if he's not going to be the starting center, then it's very, very hard for you to pay X amount of dollars starting money for a guy that's going to be offensive lineman number 6.
I just damn near think it's a no-brainer, though, because Austin Corbett can't stay healthy.
Yeah, Austin Corbett, thank you so much for your services. You have a beautiful, beautiful parents as well. We met them out in Vegas.
Yeah, they're super nice, super cool people.
They made the vlog. Yep. Yeah. Shout out to them. But yeah, we just, unfortunately, with your age and with your injury history over the past 2 years, we just can't continue to run the risk. We can't. And I think you're a phenomenal teammate. I think you're a phenomenal leader. However, business is business, and I think your time has come. I do. Free agent wish list. Free agent wish list.
How many are we getting capped at on this?
4.
Shit.
4, yeah. I mean, I trust me when I tell you I struggle. I probably could have had 10. Now, I wanna preface this segment by, this is no in-depth analysis on cap space, anything of the sort. This is literally just us playing Madden, seeing the free agent list, seeing who's available, and us making a play for them. This is just a uncapped, unrestricted free agent wish list from us. Literally no limitations on it at all, just for fun and games. But I believe that we can make some of these things happen depending on what we do with cap space, depending on restructures, cuts, et cetera, et cetera. Would y'all like me to start, or do y'all want to go? I'll go first because I feel like y'all don't necessarily have y'all's list together fully.
I have my list.
Okay. Well, do you want to start, or would you like me to go?
Yeah, I can lead off. That's not a problem. So my list, there's going to be a theme here. I'm going with Josh Sweat as one of my top targets, DN for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle there because they do have so much talent along that D-line in Philly. But my top targets would be Josh Sweat. And then these next two are kind of interchangeable. So I'm going to consider them one. But I either want Chase Young or Marcus Davenport, both of which who played for the Saints, also D linemen. As y'all can see, there is a theme with those first two. Then I would also go after Dre Greenlaw, knowing that linebacking room needs some help. Dre Greenlaw is coming off an injury. He has fully rehabbed with the 49ers this offseason, or this past year. Only played in a game or two, I believe, for them.
Did he get fucked off again?
Yeah, he kind of tweaked something. But Dre Greenlaw is still only 28 years old. And when he is playing, he is one of the best linebackers in the league. And if you want somebody who will come down and stretch some shit, Dre Greenlaw is that guy. He isn't wrapped all the way tight. And then my final player on this wish list would be T. Higgins. I would be remiss if I didn't have a free agent list that included the best free agent wide receiver out there, considering the fact that Adam Thielen is contemplating retirement, and I didn't really like what I saw from XL. I have to go ahead and throw T. Higgins on that list because I think he would fit in with this system well. But definitely D-line, linebacker, and receiver. That's my wish list.
So I did not take the liberty of putting T. Higgins on the list just because we're scheduled to have a conversation about T. Garrett, Tyreek, and DK. He's not on my list, but I will say honorable mention, should he not be tagged, T. Higgins. Josh Sweat, the first name on my list. Great minds think alike, brother. Ball knowers, type shit.
Type shit.
Nah, but Josh Sweat, I think that, like Tavian said, he gets lost in the shuffle of things in Philly just because there are so many great D linemen that play for that team, and they have a plethora that they can rotate out for different situations, different formations. But I think Josh Sweat still has a lot left in the tank. I think he's a dog. And I would love to see him in process blue. This name right here, I like a nigga that's gonna come down and stretch something. Justin Reed, Kansas City Chiefs. Love it. We need help in that safety room. We just had a conversation about, some of the younger guys, whatever the case may be. But we also had a conversation about Xavier Woods and Jordan Fuller. I think Justin Reed is a great piece for you to add to that back line of this defense and makes it significantly better. He can guard. He can tackle. He doesn't get beat too often. He sees the field very well. There's no real downside to this guy.
And he will hit.
And that's probably reason 1A why I want him in process blue is the fact that he will hit.
That's a great name.
Another great name, in my opinion, Kazir White, linebacker, Arizona, demon.
Yeah.
Go turn on the film. I don't want to give a full dissertation on Kazir. You just go look at it for yourself and tell me that he wouldn't look good in one of them helmets there. He adds a lot.
Another great name. I like that.
And then finally, we just saw him exit the playoffs on Saturday night, I believe. Carlton Davis, cornerback. I said bring Mike Jackson back, and I think that if you do bring Mike Jackson back, this still doesn't change my list in any regard at all. I'm a depth guy. I think it's important to have depth. With J.C. Horn's injury history, I think that Carlton Davis would be hard-pressed not to find his way on the field, even if we bump somebody down and tell him to go nickel, whatever the case may be. I think Carlton Davis is another guy that would be a phenomenal add to this team, and it would fill a need. So I took the liberty of filling the holes on defense that we didn't fill last year because I expect this front office and this team to be hyper-focused on the defensive side of the ball this year.
I like your list a lot. A lot of really good names.
Thank you, brother.
So my list is I had Josh Sweat and Chase Young. Just because like both of y'all said Josh Sweat, I'm gonna just go Chase Young, just because I think he's a young player. Currently plays for the Saints. He did have his stint with the 49ers, but I think he has a lot left in the tank, a lot left to be desired, and I think that him coming off the edge of that defensive line would just be nasty. And then I have Javon Holland. Love Javon Holland. I mentioned him earlier in the year. I mean, I just think he's a stud. I think he'll hit. He's good in coverage. So I have him as well. Have T. Higgins for obvious reasons. You just know what T. Higgins brings to the table. Like, he's definitely been overshadowed by Jamar Chase, being that he's the number one receiver there. But I think T. Higgins is really great. Now, the two that I'm stuck in between with linebacker-wise, and I'll tell you why. Kaiser White. Kaiser White is a stud. Had him on my fantasy team, so I had to do a lot of watching him this season with Arizona. But, I mean, I think the guy just has a knack for the football. So you're always going to find him around the football, whether that is, you know, making a tackle or just even being in the secondary. I just think he's a stud of a player as well. And then another guy who's probably going to throw everybody, drive everybody crazy, is Isaiah Simmons. And the reason that I say that is because I wanted Isaiah Simmons before we drafted Derrick Brown. I thought that we were going to get Isaiah Simmons coming out of Clemson. And he's been with New York. He was with Arizona. And I know that, like, people don't really hear his name as much just because he was drafted super high and hasn't had that level of production. But I think that Isaiah Simmons is a player that you can play anywhere. You can put him at safety. You can put him at linebacker. You can put him anywhere on the field, and he's going to go get money. I think he's a younger player. I think he has a potential to make a lot of big plays, and I don't think that he will cost that much. And then also I like Zach Brown as well, or Zach Braun, whatever, from
Philly. Yeah.
He's a stud as well.
Yeah,
I know we only
he's a
said
dog.
4, but he's a fucking dog. So
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
he's just a little older. He's 28. And so that's the reason I went Isaiah Simmons, is because he's a lot younger.
I had Isaiah on my list too. I replaced him for T last minute. Only because, like what you said, you can deploy him anywhere on that field. But I also feel like you already had a player similar to Isaiah Simmons in a Jeremy Chin. And EJ couldn't figure out what the fuck to do with him. So I wouldn't trust EJ getting his hands on Isaiah Simmons, because I think you would kind of find yourself in the same position with EJ not knowing what to fucking play Isaiah Simmons at. And also just because I don't think his production really matched what we were expecting, because he's in New York this year. And I didn't really see too much of him in New York.
Yeah, but the only thing is with the EJ thing, I think this could be that Jeremy Chin situation should be a situation that he learns from. It's like,
Facts.
no matter if you think, oh, I can't play him, this guy needs to be on the field for obvious reasons. Like, he makes your team better. It's just as simple as that. If you're going to be a top defensive coordinator, if you're going to be considered for head coaching jobs, you find a place for guys like that to play in your defense. You just have to. Or
I'd
you
agree.
get clipped, like I already want you to be. But, you know.
I agree. Another name that I'm gonna add 2 more names, and this is it. They didn't make my list. But they go along with the theme of what we were talking about earlier with trying to add running back room depth. Javonte Williams,
Love Devontae.
Denver Broncos. What is this? 4th year, I believe.
Out of
Went to
Carolina.
UNC. Yep. So kind of a hometown kid. That's a name that I would keep an eye on for sure. And then Jalen Warren. I don't believe that we're going to pay Jalen Warren the amount of money that he's going to demand, because I think he's a really, really good back. Very similar to Chuba Hubbard, actually. I think he's a very, very good back that got stuck behind a back that was supposed to be better, and Najee Harris. Chuba's situation is different because C-Mac obviously was better. Got stuck behind a guy that was supposed to be better, but every time he got an opportunity throughout the 3 or 4 years that he was with Pittsburgh, he maximized it. In my opinion, he runs extremely hard. He's a threat in the running game and the passing game. I love Jalen Warren, personally. I love Jalen Warren. Those are 2 names that I would definitely be on the lookout for if we're looking to add that running back depth. And Javonte Williams is probably going to fit into your budget a little bit better than a Jalen Warren will.
Yeah,
for sure.
And just to go back to Isaiah Simmons, I can just only imagine just like a fast defense and being able to run sideline to sideline. Like, that is something that he's going to provide, and I think that would do wonders for this defense, honestly.
Sure. I agree. I agree. I don't think his production has matched what I believe he could be. But that's not to say that we shouldn't give him an opportunity to do so.
Because I don't think you'll have to pay him that much. Because it's like he's gonna know, like, I mean, I got drafted top 10 pick and that production hasn't necessarily matched that. So like I'm not about to come here expecting a big contract. Sure. And I think that we have the money that we can pay a guy like that, and
it would be his third team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true.